So you've probably noticed that I haven't posted a video in a while. It's been over 2 weeks since Infinity Nikki's 1.5 update released, and I really thought by this point we would have an updated statement from Infold, but that's not the case. I was on vacation when 1.5 released, and so I wasn't able to play it until the Sunday after it came out. And if you watch my stream, you'll know that I did encounter some bugs, and I was disappointed with the dying system, multiplayer, the changes to the story, and a lot of the things that many others have issues with. I didn't make a dedicated video going over my issues with 1.5 because by the time I was able to, it seemed like a lot of those points had been made already by the other content creators in the Infinity Nikki space. And I've honestly just really hoped as every day goes by that we would get an updated statement from Infold, and that hasn't happened yet. It feels weird not posting a video in so long, especially when I was really investing in my YouTube channel and really enjoying making content. But the truth is that I've just been really discouraged and sad. With the way that 1.5 has gone, I haven't felt like making a video. I haven't been logging in. I haven't purchased anything in Infinity Nikki since the update came out. And I've just been waiting like many of you. I'm also a part-time creator. I have a full-time job and I'm also looking for a new job, and that's taken a lot of my time. So I don't always have a ton of time to make content, but couple that with the disappointing update and the lack of information from Infold, and I just really haven't felt motivated. And I didn't feel pressured to make a dedicated video because so many other content creators have made great videos going over all of the criticisms and giving feedback about the game already. And I'm such a small creator that I didn't feel the need to add to it. I've missed making videos. I've missed talking to you all. And so that's why I'm making this video today. I share the concerns and criticisms that everyone else has in the community. I think the update was far too rushed. It overpromised and underdelivered, and then also introduced a lot of problems into the game, including bugs that have locked people out of it entirely. I think it's unacceptable the state that was shipped, and they should have done some beta testing and far more QA. And I think they were over ambitious. They rushed their development teams and released a mess. I said this on my TikTok, but it is extremely disappointing to see the state that this community and this game is in after what was such a promising launch and what was such an exciting and joy-filled game for me to play. I've been playing since the second beta, when I made a few videos about Infinity Nikki that went viral on TikTok, and then I was invited to be in the creator program. And ever since then, I've dedicated most of my YouTube channel and my Twitch streams to Infinity Nikki, and I've really enjoyed it. I've also made videos being critical of Infinity Nikki, and I've always told players not to give into FOMO, to be very careful with the amount of money that you spend, and to wait until next banner announcements to pull on banners, because I know that gacha games can be very predatory. I feel naive now recommending this game so much, given what's happened to it, and I hope that they can fix it, but I'm going to be very careful and wary proceeding with this game in the future. I will say right now that I am not playing Infinity Nikki or making content about it until we see some real accountability from Infold, until they tell us exactly how they're going to fix the game, and until they make an offering of goodwill with the players by giving out some free currency, by releasing a roadmap of how they're going to fix the game, and by putting out patches and updates in the future that do not go this way. I want to talk a little bit about what it means to be in the official content creator program, especially with all the discourse that I've seen online, and I think a lot of confusion about what that means. If you look at the application for becoming an Infinity Nikki content creator, you'll see that we do not get paid in money, but we get paid in in-game currency. But we've also never been told that we can't be critical of the game. Or rather, we've never been told to only be positive about the game. And I have made videos criticizing the game in the past and putting into question some of the monetization practices when they've introduced new currencies or done things to make players feel pressured to pull on the gacha, like with the Mirror Crown Pinnacle contest. So I've never shied away from being criticizing of the game in the past, and I've never felt obligated to only be positive or only to say good things about Infinity Nikki. I can't speak for all other content creators in the program, but from what I've seen with my mutuals, that seems to be the case across the board. We are all as honest as we can be and share our opinions. Not everyone is going to have the same opinion. Some people are going to have a more positive opinion of the game or a more negative one. And that's not a reflection on our obligations to the content creator program. It might just be down to personal preferences. In terms of how long it took creators to speak about the 1.5 update, I think there was a very unrealistic expectation of creators to make content and videos instantly discussing the problems with the patch when we don't have advanced access to the patch. We get to play it on the day that it premieres, just like everyone else. And there's a lot of content, especially in this last update, to get through. You need to try out the new story, the new dying system, look at the outfits, look at the swish and soiree thing that I don't even know what it's called because I haven't done it, the new bubble season stuff. So there's a lot of content to play. And then not only that, not everyone had the same experience in terms of bugs, depending on the platform that they're on. A lot of other factors go into how the game performs for people. So I did think it was unfair that there were so many comments on Reddit and Discord, and now other creators who don't even play Infinity Nikki or aren't in the program saying that creators were afraid to speak out. Like, we can only be positive about the game if we're the official program. And that's just not the case. I think it took time for people to experience the update for themselves, collect feedback from their communities, film videos, edit them, and post them. And what was ironic to me is that there were some videos that all came out on the same day criticizing 1.5, but some of them called out creators for not posting their videos soon enough, but they were posted on the same day as a bunch of other videos criticizing the patch, meaning that it took everyone about the same amount of time to make these videos. But because you can't see what's happening behind the scenes and you can't see people filming their videos and editing them, you have no idea when they're going to come out. So I do think that content creators should be held to a high standard of honesty, but that honesty is only going to reflect their own opinions. And I think that as a creator, you have a certain obligation to make sure that you don't jump to conclusions too quickly. For me personally, I did expect that Infold was going to come out and address these concerns because of the way that they've handled criticism in the past and how they've addressed player concerns in their blog posts. I'm actually shocked it's taken them this long and they still really haven't said anything outside of their apology letter. Now, certain drama channels have picked up on the Infinity Nikki discourse because it gets clicks. I don't think it's fair to harass the content creators. I hope that that's died down at this point. But just yesterday, I saw a new video calling out Infinity Nikki content creators, and it's just sad to see because we're people who play the game just like anyone else, and we don't have any more access to Infold or insight into what's happening than anyone else does. What do I think is happening at Infold? I think they're having to do a lot of damage control internally. I think that the only way for them to salvage the game at this point is to make some real changes, and that's going to take a lot more time than 2 weeks. I think they should have told us, and they should be keeping us updated, that they are actively working on it, and maybe they think the bug fixes are enough. But it's clear from how the community is doing that it's not enough, and they should be speaking to us more and communicating with us more. I don't think that they're just waiting for it to go away and ignoring it. I think because I work in software, the problems are so deep from my perspective that they're going to have to make some real changes. And so what I expect from them is a new roadmap that clearly outlines how they're going to fix what is broken, how they're going to fix the gacha system and the monetization, how they will fix the dying system and multiplayer, and a timeline of when that is going to happen. I think they need to push out the housing update. They cannot release it this summer. I doubt that it's in a good state given the state of multiplayer. There's a chance that they've been working on housing instead of this 1.5 update, and so they released a bunch of things early to appease players, and maybe housing is in a better state. I just doubt that given everything that's happened. But they need to give us a new roadmap and clearly outline how they're going to fix their mistakes. And they need to give some kind of compensation People have been locked out of the game, not able to redeem their monthly gifts. You have people who are so discouraged they're not coming into the game to get their dailies, and there are bugs and all of these other issues. They're going to have to show that they are willing to give up some monetary gain by giving us diamonds or free pulls. They've already given us a few, but I think they're going to have to give more to get people to come back. And they're going to have to do something to earn players' trust back. The second half of 1.5 is in 2 days. That is when Mirror Crown is resetting. That is when we would normally get the 4-star banner outfits. And I believe that we will receive some kind of update from them in the next 24 to 48 hours. And if we don't, I have a much lower opinion of them. And I think that they're in some real trouble. Like I said, I'm not going to be playing the game or making content about it until they show that they are willing to really fix these issues. And if they release 1.6 without addressing what happened and without giving us some information about what they're changing to make things better, I'm done with the game. If you've had a great experience with 1.5 and you're enjoying it and you don't see any problems, I think that's perfectly fine. But I think people need to acknowledge that not everyone's experience is going to be the same, and that the response of the community to me is not overblown. I think it is appropriate. I think people who are harassing others, harassing content creators, that is not appropriate. But having criticisms of the game is, I think, completely appropriate and within the player's right. And if we want this game to exist for a long time, we need to be able to criticize it. I don't want this to be a mediocre game that continues to put out lukewarm, bland patches with half-baked features, because that means that the game is just going to slip into obscurity. So I think that this is a critical time for Infinity Nikki. It's early enough in its lifespan. I hope that this can be a Cyberpunk 2077 or a No Man's Sky situation and not a Redfall or Gollum game situation. You have games that have released in really poor states and then they've rebuilt and they've won back their community. And then you have games that released so poorly that the entire studio had to shut down and you never see that game again. I think because Infinity Nikki was so popular, has been so invested in, and is backed by a company that has other streams of revenue and they have very deep pockets, that Infinity Nikki has the chance to turn things around. But I have high expectations. I'm going to hold them to a high standard, and I'm not going to accept anything less than taking complete accountability and fixing things going forward. So that is where I stand on Infinity Nikki. I'm really bummed that I haven't been making videos because I really enjoy it. I love streaming and hanging out with you all. I love being creative, and I just haven't felt that way in a few weeks. So I hope that things turn around. If Infinity Nikki does not, I still want to be making content. I have thought about getting back into Palia. I've thought about playing some other games, maybe doing something else video game related. I don't know, but I love making content. I love hanging out and hearing from you. So I'm still here. I'm around. If Infinity Nikki does come out with a statement, I will hopefully cover it and I will let you know what I think then. I will see you in the next video.